Let's begin with the face everyone remembers first. Paul Hogan played Mick Crocodile Dundee, the rugged Outback hero who walked into New York with a hat, a knife, and a kind of confidence that never needed to shout. Born on October 8, 1939 in Parramatta, Australia, Hogan was already in his mid-40s when the film became a worldwide hit. Maybe that is why he felt so different from many action stars of the 1980s. Mick Dundee was not cold, angry, or larger than life in a loud way. He was relaxed, funny, friendly, and completely himself. And of course, most of us still remember the knife scene. That's not a knife, that's a knife. It became one of those lines people repeated for years, but what made it work was Hogan's calm smile and dry humor. He made Dundee feel like a man who could walk into the chaos of New York and never lose the Outback inside him. In 2026, Paul Hogan is 86. Seeing him now can feel emotional because so many of us still remember him as that sunburned, smiling man from 1986. But for fans, Mick Dundee will always be the role that made him unforgettable. Linda Kozlowski as Sue Charlton. Beside him was Linda Kozlowski as Sue Charlton, the New York journalist who gave the movie its heart. Sue was not just the woman who brought Dundee to New York. She was the bridge between two worlds. She made the culture clash feel warm instead of cruel, and she helped turn a funny adventure into a story with real charm. Linda was born on January 7, 1958, and was 28 when the film was released. Before Crocodile Dundee, she had trained at Juilliard and worked on stage, but Sue Charlton turned her into an international star. Her chemistry with Paul Hogan was one of the reasons the movie felt so alive. For many of us, Sue was smart, curious, elegant, and brave enough to step into a world completely different from her own. Years later, Linda stepped away from Hollywood and chose a quieter life. One line from her later years says a lot: reality is better than make-believe. There is something moving about that. She did not spend the rest of her life chasing the same spotlight. She chose peace, independence, and a life of her own. John Millen as Walter Riley. Now let's return to Walkabout Creek because Crocodile Dundee would not have felt the same without the people who made Mick's world feel real. John Millen played Walter Riley, Mick's loyal friend and the owner of the Walkabout Creek Hotel. Born on May 1, 1934, he was 52 when the movie came out. Walter was one of those characters who made the Outback feel lived in. He brought warmth, local humor, and the feeling that Mick came from a real place with real friendships. John Millen passed away in 1989, only a few years after the movie became a global success. That is one of the bittersweet parts of looking back. Some actors only need a few scenes to stay with us, and Walter was one of them. Maggie Blinko as Ida. Maggie Blinko played Ida, the warm pub owner who made Walkabout Creek feel even more welcoming. Born in 1934 in Sydney, Maggie was in her early 50s when Crocodile Dundee was released. Ida was not a loud role, but she added something important. She made the place feel like home. And Maggie's later life brings one of the loveliest notes in this cast story. In her 90s, she has stayed active with knitting, crossword puzzles, cooking, friends, family, and a love of learning. Her journey reminds us that growing older does not have to mean disappearing from life. Sometimes it means finding joy in the ordinary things that keep the heart and mind awake. Jerry Skilton as Nugget. Jerry Skilton played Nugget, one of Mick's easygoing mates from the Outback crew. Born on March 12, 1945, Jerry is 81 in 2026. As Nugget, he brought relaxed humor and that feeling of mateship that helped make Walkabout Creek feel like a real community. He was not there to steal the spotlight. He was there to make the world around Dundee feel loyal, familiar, and warm. Where did you first watch Crocodile Dundee? Before we leave Walkabout Creek and move into New York, I'd love to know something. Did you first see Crocodile Dundee in theaters, on VHS, or years later on television? And which face from the movie brings back the strongest memory for you? Now we move to New York, where Dundee's calm outback spirit met a much sharper world. David Gulpilil as Neville Bell. David Gulpilil, also respectfully known by his family name David Delethingu, played Neville Bell. He was born on July 1, 1953, and passed away in 2021 at the age of 68. In Crocodile Dundee, Neville brought dry humor, intelligence, and quiet presence. Many fans remember his camera moment when he calmly says, "No, you've got the lens cap on." But David Gulpilil was much more than one funny line. He was one of the great trailblazers of Australian cinema, helping change how Indigenous people were represented on screen. He could say so much with silence, movement, and a look. In a movie remembered for comedy, his presence gave the story something deeper. Mark Bloom as Richard Mason. Mark Bloom played Richard Mason, Sue's polished New York boyfriend. Born on May 14, 1950, Mark was 36 when the movie came out. Richard was educated, confident, and used to a world where status mattered. That made him the perfect contrast to Mick Dundee. He was not really a villain, he simply came from a different kind of world. And standing next to Mick, that world looked a little too polished, a little too controlled, and maybe not quite as free. Mark Bloom later became a deeply respected stage and screen actor. He passed away in 2020 at the age of 69, leaving behind a strong legacy in theater, film, and television. Michael Lombard as Sam Charlton. Michael Lombard played Sam Charlton, Sue's wealthy newspaper publisher father. Born on August 8, 1934 in Brooklyn, Michael was 52 when the film was released. His character helped send Sue toward the assignment that changed everything. Sam belonged to the New York world of offices, deadlines, ambition, and authority. Because of him, Sue ended up in the Outback, and Mick Dundee eventually ended up in New York. Michael Lombard passed away in 2020 at the age of 86, after a long career as a respected character actor. He was one of those faces who added texture to films and television, even when he was not the one in the spotlight. Anne Francine as Fran. Anne Francine played Fran, Sue's elegant, high-society friend. She was born on August 8, 1917, and passed away in 1999 at the age of 82. Fran was a smaller role, but she added exactly the right Manhattan flavor. The manners, the glamour, the subtle judgment, all of it made Dundee's simplicity even funnier. One viewer said Anne Francine completely nailed the New York socialite vibe, and that is exactly right. Good character actors can appear for only a short time, but they make the whole world of the movie feel sharper and more believable. Reginald VelJohnson as Gus. Reginald VelJohnson played Gus, the friendly New York limo driver. Born on August 16, 1952, he was 34 when Crocodile Dundee was released. Gus was a small role, but VelJohnson brought warmth to it. In a city that could feel cold and overwhelming to Dundee, Gus made New York feel a little more human. And for many American viewers, seeing him here creates that wonderful little moment of recognition. After Crocodile Dundee, Reginald VelJohnson became beloved as Sergeant Al Powell in Die Hard and Carl Winslow in Family Matters. It is one of those moments where you smile and think, wait, I know him. In 2026, he is still loved for that familiar, reassuring presence. Paul Greco as the New Yorker. Paul Greco played a character credited simply as the New Yorker. Born on October 21, 1955, Paul was 31 when the film was released. His appearance was brief, but he brought a burst of street-level Manhattan attitude that helped sell the culture clash in just a few seconds. Fans of cult cinema also remember him as Sully in The Warriors. He passed away in 2008 at the age of 53, but his face and energy remain tied to that gritty New York movie world of the late 70s and 80s. Anne Carlisle as Gwendolyn Ann Carlisle played Gwendolyn. She was born in the mid-1950s and is still with us today. Her role in Crocodile Dundee was brief, but she brought a distinct downtown New York edge to the city scenes. Outside of Crocodile Dundee, cult film fans remember her for Liquid Sky, a movie closely tied to the bold art film world of early 1980s New York. In this cast, her role was small, but she added another piece of city texture that made Dundee's arrival in Manhattan feel strange, funny, and alive. And now, when we look back at all of them together, the feeling changes. In 1986, most of us were just enjoying the laughs. We remembered Mick's grin, Sue's curiosity, the Outback, the city, and the simple fun of watching two worlds collide. But in 2026, seeing the cast again brings a different kind of emotion. Paul Hogan is now in his 80s. Linda Kozlowski chose a life away from Hollywood. John Millen, David Gulpilil, Mark Bloom, Michael Lombard, Anne Francine, and Paul Greco are no longer with us. Others remain, carrying small but meaningful pieces of a film that still makes people smile. That is the bittersweet part of these then and now stories. We come to see the familiar faces, but what we really find are pieces of our own memory. We remember where we were when we first watched the movie. We remember who was in the room. We remember the old TV, the VHS tape, the movie night feeling, and the way a simple line could make everyone laugh. And maybe that is the lesson this cast leaves behind. Time changes everyone, even the stars we once thought would always stay the same. But time does not erase what they gave us. It does not erase the laughter, the familiar lines, the warm little moments, or the feeling of being younger when we first saw them. Growing older makes us understand these movies differently. We still smile at the funny scenes, but now we also feel the years behind them, and somehow that makes the memory even more precious. Before you go, this is Celebs Before and After, a place where we come back to the faces, the roles, the movies, and the memories that once felt like part of everyday life. Which Crocodile Dundee characters stayed with you the most? Was it Mick, Sue, Walter, Nugget, Neville, Gus, or someone else? And tell us this too. Where did you first watch Crocodile Dundee? In the theater, on VHS, or years later on TV? Leave your memory in the comments. And if you enjoy looking back at the stars and movies from the years we still carry with us, please subscribe and join us for the next classic. Because some movies do more than entertain us for a night. They keep a little piece of who we were when we first loved them.